Well, I'm absolutely delighted today to be joined by Dr. Ross Pelton, who is a gentleman I've known for many years and is somebody I look up to, and in fact something that we share a lot in common because we've both been pharmacists and we've both been biochemists, and we share a great passion for the anti-aging longevity field. And so absolutely delighted to have him chatting with us today on what is a very hot topic indeed, which of course is rapamycin and all the aspects of rapamycin. So welcome, Ross. Welcome.
Hello, Phil. It's really a pleasure to be with you. And we are both what I call recovering pharmacists.
I remember when you first told me that one. I thought that's good. I like that. Very good
But
indeed.
great to be with you today.
Thank you. Pleasure, pleasure. Thank you for the time. So, Ross, I think just for folks at home who may not know who you are, please tell us a bit about your background.
Well, I did get started in pharmacy. That was my first professional career. When I was a young adult, I was kind of a fast food, junk food junkie. I didn't have any good role models, and my parents weren't really bad, but they didn't have any background in health themselves. And so when I was single out on my own after I graduated from college, I just did what was easiest and what was fastest. And so I did that for a number of years. And then in 1979, I was walking home from a little convenience store with a loaf of white bread and a half a gallon of milk under my arm. And there's a little neighborhood church. I was living in a little northern beach community in the San Diego area,
Mhm.
about 15 miles north of San Diego, right on the ocean, a
Right.
little place called Cardiff by the Sea. And walking home, and I heard this strange music coming out of a little neighborhood church across the street. And just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
I walked across the street and down a sidewalk and opened the door and stuck my head in, and I found a yoga class in session
Ah,
and saw a group of people that radiated a level of health that just kind of grabbed me. And so I started getting involved with yoga. And through yoga, I met people who were not only interested in their health and exercised regularly and ate healthy food and healthy diets, but they read health magazines and health newsletters and health books. And so I got exposed to this health related literature through my involvement in yoga and this group of people. And with my background in pharmacy and biochemistry and physiology and anatomy, all this health information all of a
nice.
sudden just made sense.
Very
And
nice.
it's been making sense ever since.
That
And
was
it,
your consciousness moment, wasn't it? Because we all
yeah,
need to arrive at
exactly.
this awakening,
That was a
right?
life-changing moment for me. All of a sudden, I had something I was passionate about because I was never passionate about pharmacy. It
Mm,
gave me a decent income,
mm.
but health lighted a fire and a passion in me that has never ended.
Wonderful.
And
Lovely.
that,
It's a lovely story, Russ, and I totally get it. I think we
thank you.
all have a moment in time where
Yeah,
we can point to and say, that was it, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And
That was my moment.
also, you and I are both passionate about helping people not only live longer but live healthier.
Yeah.
And I say this story quite often. I think children, before they leave school, they should do two things. One, go to a prison and see what life's like in a prison, and it may teach them, I don't want to go here. And the other one is go to a geriatric ward and see what folks are like, and maybe they'll go home thinking, got to do something about this,
Yeah.
and there might be a change because it's the people coming up, of course, that will change the
Yeah.
future. So
Yeah.
yeah, so and you and I are a part of that. You know, they'll look back at us on one day and say we were standing on the shoulders of giants. I hope so, anyway.
Yeah.
So recently, folks may or may not know, you've written a book about rapamycin.
I
Have you
did.
got a copy there that you can flash to
I
us?
do have a copy of my book
Oh,
here.
that'd be terrific if
There,
you have. There
so
it is. There
the
she is.
viewers can see it.
And of course, we'll put links to that
Sure.
down below. So let me just ask you, why did you write a book about rapamycin?
Well, um, a number of years ago, probably 6 or 7 years ago now, I was speaking at a health and life extension conference in Las Vegas,
Hmm.
and Bill Falloon actually gave a presentation there, and I listened, sat in on his presentation, and he talked about rapamycin.
Hmm.
And so that was my first exposure to it. But one of the things he talked about is that it's an FDA approved drug for chemotherapy to treat cancer. And so I just didn't get all that excited about it at that particular time.
Mhm.
But it was on my radar and I kind of tracked it. And about, I'd say 3 to 4 years ago, I heard lectures by Lloyd Krickstein and Joan Manick and Matt Kaberlein, and these are some of the key scientists involved with rapamycin. And that gave me the exposure to the biochemistry, which
Yeah,
I understand,
yeah,
and I realized this is really, really a game changer.
nice, nice.
And I'm a writer.
Hmm.
I've written at that point. I'd written I don't know 10 or 11 books,
Got,
and um, and so I started looking into rapamycin more deeply, and also the companion topics of mTOR and autophagy.
right.
And I think as important as rapamycin is, mTOR and autophagy are more important because
Okay.
these are critical regulators of the metabolism of every cell in the human body,
Mm-hmm.
and they regulate the aging process. In the second edition of my book, I proposed the mTOR autophagy theory of aging. This
Very
is a
good.
critical issue. And so as I looked into, I did the PubMed searches,
Hmm.
looked for how many articles had been written with rapamycin in the title, and how many with mTOR, and how many with autophagy.
Hmm.
Tens of thousands of articles and studies have been published on these topics, but
Amazing.
nobody had written a book about it to explain it to the
Very
general
clever, very clever. Because that's one of my old sayings as well. When you discover something in the literature and you think, wow,
public.
and then you say, why doesn't anybody know this? And there's
Exactly.
so much out there, right? And that's my little saying. I say, if you want to keep it a secret, publish it. But
Yeah.
but I do agree with you that a book is a very good instrument
Yeah.
to congeal all these, and especially what can be very heavy techie articles,
Yeah.
and make a kind of cross reference, and they're looking at one aspect, as we all know, and then make that. So well done you for doing that. That's a great thing
Yeah.
you've done. So
What I tell people is that my interest in rapamycin shifted from an interest to an obsession.
right.
And one of the things I say in my bio on my website is that I'm bilingual, and the two languages I speak are English and science. I can
Yeah,
talk about the
very good
science so
point.
that non-scientific people can understand it,
I
and
like
so
it.
that's what I wanted to
I
do with
like it.
rapamycin and mTOR
The
and autophagy.
names that you and I have to deal with is like another language, isn't it? You
Yeah,
know, all those
exactly. And
incredibly
some people
difficult.
shy away from this. They see terms like mTOR and autophagy and they think it's just too complex for them.
Mm,
And I say, look, you speak English, don't you?
mm,
I can explain this so you can understand it. When you read my book, you'll run across these terms a dozen or more times, and you will start to understand it.
exactly. Exactly.
And
Just takes
so,
a bit of focus, doesn't it? I always
exactly. And
say
so,
we can help any, dare I say, educated person. We can help, even if you're not a medical person. Doesn't matter. You just need a bit of time to get your head around it, but you'll get there. So,
exactly.
but
So
as I say
the
in the
book is
office
designed
sometimes,
to really accelerate people's learning curve about
yes, yes.
rapamycin,
And
mTOR,
I
and
think
autophagy.
we should never forget that life is a never-ending learning curve.
Exactly.
It was
Exactly.
always something else to learn. So I do. I'm sorry. I like to inject jokes and things, Ross. You'll have to forgive me, but people know what I'm like. So I just say that in my office, I sometimes say to the staff, we can help the hard of hearing, we can help the hard of seeing, but we can't help the hard of thinking. But there we
Yes.
are.
Well, in
So
America, there's this um, saying by the Trump organization, let's make America great again. I
right.
think the saying should be, let's make America think again.
Yeah, it's a lost art, isn't it? It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah. So tell us, please, Ross, why is rapamycin important for health and longevity?
Well, sure. I'm happy to explain this, Phil, for people. So this gets into a discussion of the terms mTOR and autophagy.
Mhm.
And so the mechanism of action for rapamycin is that it gets absorbed across the cellular membrane, and inside the cell, it attaches to a protein that got named mTOR.
Mhm.
mTOR's function is that when nutrients are available, mTOR sends out signals to the cell that says, use these nutrients to build and grow, make new proteins, make new enzymes, make new cellular components. So mTOR is a master sensor of nutrient availability. And the name mTOR is the mechanistic target of rapamycin. They just gave it that name because that's where rapamycin attaches to, but every living cell has this protein. I mean, animals, plants, this is fundamental to life on Earth. It's been, mTOR has been part of living organisms for millions and millions of years. And so I've talked about mTOR being a sensor of nutrients. The other kind of a coin, the side of the coin, I call this kind of the yin and yang of cellular metabolism. When no nutrients are available, autophagy gets activated. And Japanese scientist won the Nobel Prize in 2016 for his discovery of autophagy. Last time I checked, I think there's like 16 or 18,000 hits in PubMed with the term autophagy in the title. So this is a widely studied topic. But autophagy's function, and it's critical for people to understand this, when autophagy gets activated because there are no nutrients available, that's a master switch to start to detoxify every cell in the body. And the body and our cells have the ability somehow to target old, misfolded, or damaged proteins and enzymes and cellular components and break them down and either reutilize the cellular components to build new proteins and new enzymes or get some of that material out of the cell. It's a master detoxification process for cells. But the other thing that's critical to understand is that autophagy is the process of rebuilding your body.
Right. So it's part of the removal of those senescent dead cells. Yeah, absolutely. Which I'm going to presume is something that occurs more frequently as we get older, right? We have more senescent cells in us as we get older.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You bet.
Very nice. So mTOR is not perhaps its prime or certainly not its only action, but do you consider it to be its prime action, or do you think autophagy is just as important on, where that
Autophagy
scale?
is just as important. They have to be in balance. And they were in balance for hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution. And now I believe most people alive today are severely out of balance.
Right.
And so the analogy I use is with the gut microbiome. When things are in balance in your gut microbiome, it's not a 50-50 balance between good bacteria and bad bacteria. A healthy gut microbiome is 85 to 90% good bacteria and only 10 to 15% bad bacteria. Everybody has some bacteria that are potentially bad, but in small numbers, they don't create problems. Well, it's a little bit similar.
Like members of a family, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Don't
There's
go
always
there.
there's always a bad apple in there somewhere, right?
And so with mTOR and autophagy, it's not a 50-50 balance. For hundreds of thousands of years, I want people to understand this. Remember, mTOR is a sensor of when nutrients are available. For hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution, people did not get up in the morning and go to the refrigerator and start to make breakfast. People did not eat 3 times a day. And compared to our ancestors, today we eat all the time. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, in between meals, snacks, dessert, evening cocktails. So mTOR is constantly getting overactivated and autophagy is severely underactivated. So people today are out of balance because of our eating habits. And historically, some things that contributed to this was the development of refrigeration. In the 1940s and 50s, everybody got a refrigerator and you got a freezer in your refrigerator. And then after World War II, food packaging and processing took off. And now you go in grocery stores and you see aisle after aisle after aisle of highly processed foods. And
we're all told that we've got no time anymore. I would take it back to the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, you're
I'm
right.
not going to bore everyone with the subject. Another thing, I'll talk to you privately about a study that was done in London.
No, you're right. I agree with you. Yeah.
But pre-industrialization, the people weren't in the cities, blah blah. And the moment they had to come in the cities to work in the factories, that's when they learned to eat 3 meals a day. right? Because it was
Yep.
all around the need for production or
And
whatever it
started
was. And
eating
that's when we
processed food. Yep.
exactly. And
Yep.
also the saying, I'm sure you know this, breakfast is the most important meal of the day is a fallacy. It was a marketing campaign by Mr. Kellogg's
Exactly.
to
By
get
the
more people to
Kellogg
eat his
people.
cornflakes, right?
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
a lot of things that are in here that we think are normal, natural, historical are actually false.
Right.
Mm,
So
that's great.
back to our topic. So mTOR and
Mm,
autophagy are out of balance because people eat too frequently.
got it.
And so the natural way to do this is intermittent fasting,
Right.
but many people won't discipline themselves to do this. Rapamycin does this for you. It crosses the cellular membrane, it binds to mTOR, so you get a partial inhibition of mTOR, so autophagy can be activated. So it is the great tool that's available to
Yeah.
us to rebalance this
Give us the
mTOR.
kickstart. No, thank you.
Yep.
That's a very good point you made there, Ross, because I can hear people saying, listening to this, oh, I just do intermittent fasting. I don't need any rapamycin. But as you say, a lot of us are a bit lazy. We need that kick up the backside and give us the impetus to get on track. So that's a very good point. So who is rapamycin for? Um, is there an age
There
that is a
is, you
limit
bet.
or? Mhm.
There's an age and some people that should not be taking it.
Right.
Uh, Keep in mind that mTOR is a growth stimulant. It
Mhm.
recognizes when nutrients are available. So you would never give rapamycin to a child
Right.
because that's a period of very rapid growth. You don't want to inhibit mTOR.
Mm.
And nobody really knows the best age. I think that it probably differs on an individual basis. And the thing I'll emphasize in this part of our discussion, this is really the beginning of a new frontier.
Mhm.
There's a lot of research that needs to be done
Mhm.
that hasn't been done yet. So we don't know what's the best age to get started on. I
Mhm.
say that probably age 30 or 40 maybe,
Really. Mhm.
but maybe somebody in their 20s who's obese and diabetic could start younger. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, I think the whole field is open to that discussion,
Sure.
whether it's rapamycin or bioidentical hormones or what. I had a conversation years ago with the pharmacologist Joseph Knoll, a Hungarian gentleman who developed saligelin and did all the work on dopamine traps.
Yeah.
And I asked him once, when do you think we should treat aging? When's the start point? And he said puberty, which is
Yeah.
kind of almost shocking, I think, for
Yeah.
most people, even in the field, because as he said, we start to see glands like the thymus atrophy at around 14, and therefore we've gone through our growth and development, and now we're on the decline curve.
Right.
More, we're going to
Yep.
reproduce and then on the decline. So that's
Yep.
very interesting what you said. I think possibly, Ross, we at this point we should talk about doses because, of course, if one
Sure.
was using it
One
for
one
cancer,
more group I want to make a
yeah,
point
please, please,
that should never take rapamycin. Women should never take rapamycin during pregnancy,
right, right,
because
right,
the growth of the fetus is the most rapid period of
yes,
growth that we know of. And
yes,
so
yes.
just another caution.
No, I
So,
think on our sites as a caveat, we say not for children, not for pregnant or lactating women, because you
right,
just have to keep that out of all the
you
equation,
bet.
obviously. But no, thank you for raising that.
Yeah.
So what about dosages, Ross? Because I
Dosing
know,
that,
yeah,
this also falls into this category of we don't know what's best,
hmm
but I'll tell you where the science is at right now. There's a scientist by the name of Joan Manick who
hmm
was working for the multinational drug company Novartis,
hmm
and she had the enviable position of doing whatever she wanted. And she was interested in aging. She got interested in rapamycin. She designed a clinical trial with elderly people age 65 and older,
hmm
divided them into four groups and gave one of them a placebo, another group and they didn't actually use rapamycin. They used a rapalog, and that drug that is very similar to rapamycin, has almost identical effects. Some people got 1 milligram daily. Some people got 5 milligrams once a week. Some people got 20 milligrams once a week.
hmm
They took their dose, the placebo or their dose of the rapamycin or the rapalog, um, for I believe it was 12 weeks.
hmm
Then there was a washout period, and then she gave them all the seasonal flu vaccine and measured how their immune system responded to that challenge.
Hmm.
And 5 milligrams once a week was the sweet spot. These elderly people taking 5 milligrams of a rapamycin-like drug once a week got about a 20% boost to their immune system.
Yeah.
And for people that are 65 years and older, to get
Hmm.
that level of improvement in the function of your immune system is a big deal.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and this could be life extension,
Yeah.
and it could be not just extending life, it is also extending your health span. So you're living longer, healthier.
Mm.
And so that was where this all started. And
Yeah,
that's how the most commonly consumed dosage of
yeah.
rapamycin is 5 or 6 milligrams once a week.
I would
Uh,
agree with you, which of course is why most tablets are coming in 1 milligram format to accommodate for that. Now,
yeah.
some folks watching this may have heard about terrible side effects or potential terrible side effects, but I'm guessing that they've been reading some of the cancer trials, which of
Sure.
course are using daily much higher dosages. Would you care to
Well, let
comment?
me back up and talk about how and why rapamycin got FDA approval in the United States. Um, so it was originally being researched as an antifungal drug,
Hmm.
and then they discovered that it suppresses the immune system. So all that research immediately stopped.
Hmm.
But in September of 1999, the FDA approved rapamycin for people getting kidney transplants because people who get an organ transplant need to be on immune suppressing drugs the rest of their life.
Hmm.
So when rapamycin is taken daily, it will suppress your immune system.
Hmm.
And then in the early 2000s, rapamycin got approved by the FDA to treat several different types of solid tumor cancers.
Hmm.
Well, when you stop to think about it, cancer is cellular growth unchecked. It just too fast, too rapid a cellular growth uncontrolled.
Yeah.
And mTOR continually being activated is likely going to increase risk to cancer over
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And so inhibiting mTOR will slow down the risk and help to treat certain types of cancer. But again, kidney transplant and chemotherapy, these are not indications that functional medicine doctors are likely to prescribe for somebody that's interested in life extension. But Joan Manick's study identified that when you take rapamycin episodically, maybe just once a week instead of every single day, you
Hmm.
don't get the severe suppression of your immune system and you activate autophagy. And
Right.
so that was the breakthrough moment in a human clinical trial, discovering that there are tremendous health benefits by getting partial inhibition of mTOR. So you give autophagy time to get activated and get those benefits. And now I'm actually experimenting. I take 12 milligrams of rapamycin once every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, Ross.
Every
Okay.
two
Yeah.
weeks.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I get my blood tests done to check my serum levels, and I've taken Rapapro for many months now and
Great.
have verified that it is very well absorbed. And so it's really my go-to product and
Excellent.
recommending for most
Thank you.
people. We could
Thank you.
probably talk about that for a minute.
Well, you and I, Ross, know that there are certain things that have to be in any rapamycin tablet to make it bioavailable. And I think we both know that there are some compounded versions that may contain rapamycin, but simply don't get into blood in any
Right.
significant way.
Rapamycin is not well absorbed.
Yeah.
And so it's lipophilic. So if you take fat with it, eat it at a meal, when you
Yeah.
have some fat in the diet, you'll enhance the absorption.
Thank you for
But
that.
we should probably talk about the nanotechnology in the
Yeah.
manufacturing process,
Please do.
because
Yeah.
that's a really critical factor. And do you have a box of Rapapro there to show, or?
I don't have any at my desk right
I
now.
do.
Right? Oh, thank you. Oh, oh yes, I recognize that. Yes, there it is.
Yeah, so this is Rapapro, which IAS has got this a proprietary brand, a generic brand of rapamycin, and made by a good reputable pharmaceutical company in India that uses a new nanotechnology. So the particle size is extremely small, and I have done my lab testing on my plasma levels after taking Rapapro, and it gets extremely beneficial, reliable absorption and plasma levels. So it's a
Thank
really
you for
high
that, Ross.
quality product.
It actually took us quite a while to find that out. I think probably of all the drugs I've ever been involved in to get to market, as it were, that one caused the most headaches, and we went backwards and forwards on at least 3 occasions, I remember.
Yeah.
But we got there in the end. I suppose that's what's important.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really a good product. And the thing that I like about RapaPro is that people can go online and order this. Many people find it difficult to find a physician who's willing to write a prescription for them.
yeah.
And so you can go to IAS's website and order rapamycin. And I should tell people probably how to order my book too.
Yes,
It's
please do.
available
Please do, Ross.
from Life Extension Foundation, the Life Extension Group. And if you order from Life Extension, you will also get a free 6-month subscription to the Life Extension magazine.
Mm.
And the telephone number for ordering is 1-866-598-6747.
I was wondering, Ross, if we've covered a lot of ground there, which is great. Any contraindications, and on the flip side, any synergistic agents that one could be thinking about as well, apart from, of
Well,
course, intermittent
there's
fasting.
very few contraindications other than mentioned pregnancy. And I think many people are hesitant to take rapamycin, for example, if they're going through chemotherapy and something like that. But in my estimation, when you start taking rapamycin, every single cell in your body starts to work better. And so I have very few limitations.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that easily available medications like acetaminophen,
Hmm.
painkiller, and ibuprofen, these anti-inflammatory drugs, I think they have far more potential side effects than rapamycin when it's taken appropriately. Certainly, you can use poor judgment and get into problems with just about anything.
Yeah.
But rapamycin is, I think, the side effects are minimal and easily managed. The most common side effect with rapamycin is little painful ulcers in the inside of the mouth. They're called
Hmm.
aphthous ulcers.
Hmm.
I, from looking at the research and the people I stay in touch with, maybe 5 to 10% of people experience an ulcer once in a while. It's irritating, but it goes away in several days. Some people get them repeatedly,
Hmm.
and so that's something they have to decide. Are they willing to put up with a little mouth sore or not? But very few people get that. And
That's not bad, and 5% is a pretty low
sure,
number as well.
I
So
do recommend that before people start rapamycin, I would advocate getting a good lab panel and blood work.
right.
So you know your iron levels and your hemoglobin levels and your triglycerides and your blood lipids and so forth. Some people get a little bit lowering of iron and hemoglobin levels. That's easy to manage.
Hmm.
Some people get a little elevation of triglycerides. That's also easy to manage. And so these are just things that I think people should be aware of.
Hmm.
I really encourage people to get their blood work done
Indeed.
because I'm sure there's biochemical individuality in how this is absorbed.
Here's our disclaimer, folks. Of course, what Dr. Pelton and I are talking about is educational, and that you as an individual should always seek the advice of your physician.
Exactly. You bet.
There we
No,
go. We've done that.
I totally agree. And so, I mean, I'm sure there's a wide variance in biochemical individuality and
Mm.
people's ability to absorb this, how it gets metabolized at the
Yeah,
cellular level. There's a lot we don't know
yeah,
yet.
yeah.
But
I mean, let's be honest, we are, I always view as a pyramid, and I guess Rapamycin, in terms of, where we are in the field, it's nearer the top of the tree, top of the pyramid. It's not
yeah,
down here. We haven't got masses of experience with it,
yeah.
but it's certainly got a lot of people excited, and that deserves interest.
I think
Um,
one comment that I'd like to share with people,
sure.
Mikhail Blogskani is one of the top rapamycin scientists in the world. And he
Right.
made the comment, he thinks that for people that are adults, not taking rapamycin is far more dangerous
Wow.
than taking it.
Wow. That is quite a
The
quote.
benefits of having every cell in your body start to work better
Yeah.
are enormous.
Yeah.
And so it's slowing down the process of biological aging. And when you activate autophagy, you're really rebuilding your body. You're
Yeah.
renewing your body. So that, in essence, is reversing the aging process to some degree.
Thank you. That's a
So that's
great,
what you and
great
I are
thought.
committed to.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one day it's going to be an incredible thing, and everyone, you know, it's the old story. First they laugh at you, and then they fight you, and then they agree with you and say, "Oh yeah, we agreed all along." So
Well, I think too, Phil, when rapamycin gets more widely exposed and marketed, I
mm,
think it has the potential to be the largest selling drug of all time.
wow,
I mean, it
wow.
it has
You're
so
hitting
much
us with some real
potential to
quotes here
improve
today,
people's
Ross.
life.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. So, getting near the end of the questions now, but obviously we can add whatever you'd like to
Oh,
add, and folks can obviously comment to us in the thing below. Um, do you how have you felt in yourself, Ross? How long have you been on rapamycin now, and
I've
what
been on
changes have you
rapamycin
noticed?
for close to 3 years now.
Hmm.
I initially lost a little bit of weight,
Hmm.
about 8 or 9 pounds
Yeah. Was it
over,
from the belly? Sorry to interrupt you. Was it?
yes,
Because this
visceral
is what
abdominal
I'm
fat.
hearing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm, mm. That's nice.
And yeah, yeah, you bet. But I do so many anti-aging life extension things, it's hard to
I know.
specifically pinpoint one say this benefit is due to rapamycin. So,
Yeah, yeah,
but
sure.
I understand the science of it. And it's just like people want to know what benefits they're going to get. And I ask them, when you take a dose of vitamin C or your dose of vitamin D today, how
Mm.
much better or different do you feel tomorrow?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You
sure.
don't, but
No,
you
no,
take
no.
it because you understand why it's
Yeah,
important. And
yeah.
that's rapamycin is slowing down the process of biological aging
Okay.
and renewing your body.
You could almost flip that into saying, we try and eat good food, healthy, but do you notice the difference that you had a grass-fed steak today or something?
Right.
You most people probably don't. It's a
Right.
bit more longer term than that. I think what I'd love to do,
Exactly.
Ross, is have you back on again where we talk about what you do and why.
Sure. Be happy to.
That I
You
think
bet.
would be very interesting to folks at home.
One thing I'll stress about rapamycin that I'd like people to realize and understand, it is a compound that's produced by a strain of soil bacteria.
Right.
So it's naturally produced in nature. This is not some compound that was created by a chemical or
Yeah.
pharmaceutical manufacturing company. This is naturally produced in nature. So I just
And
think that's an
forgive
important
me,
point.
was it not found on the soils of Easter Island,
Yes.
where the
Yep.
famous stone heads come from?
Right.
And
And the
the island
indigenous
is called Rapa Nui or something.
Rapa Nui, that's,
That's it.
and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they named the drug
Hence the
rapamycin.
name. Right. Yeah, yeah. Nice one. Nice one. Very good. Ross, it's been an absolute delight to talk with you today. I think we've learned a lot, and I love some of your statements. And let's do it again, please.
I'd love to. Let's plan on another one. I appreciate it, Phil. Nice to be with you. And uh, it's just a fascinating topic, and there will be more to come.
Great. Really looking forward to it. Thank you
All
very
right.
much, Dr. Pelton.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Take care.